Hello everyone, this is Sunbeam. This would be like the first tutorial in which you hear my voice, apart from speaking on Discord. What I'm going to talk a bit about is how to work with Sniper Ghost Warrior 3 and the, disabled console, which apparently seems to be working but not rendering text. Um, I started with Prey, I think. That was like the first CryEngine game that I actually looked at 100%. And it got me interested into establishing, or at least given the availability of the SDK, the software development kit, the possibility to look at the internal functionality of it. So, given the SDK comes with, let me just open it to show how stuff works. So this is basically the launcher. You can start the CryEngine SDK and a sandbox is being executed, which will happen like right now. Then you can get rid of this, and then you can load a demo game that I've pulled down from their market. It's free to use. It's called Woodland. There's also a VR demo, but we'll just focus on this one. So once the level is being loaded, I'm just going to delve inside the game real quick so you can have a feel at how it looks like. And once I press the tilde key, you can probably notice the debug information in the top right part of the screen. And once I press the tilde key, you'll see this console in which you can type stuff. The same console that you see here will be available in Sniper Ghost Warrior 3 and of course Prey. The only problem is there's no text rendering, and that is because the rendering helper functions were not compiled in the standalone games. Ask the Crytek developers why they did that, because I cannot tell you. So what I'm going to do now is debug a bit of this just to show you what happens when I disable rendering of the text, and then we'll get back to Sniper Ghost Warrior 3, in which you'll see the same identical behavior where text is not displayed in this console. I'm just going to close it for a sec, press escape, exit, start x64dbg. The only reason I'm doing this is to show what happens when I disable rendering of text in the console. Resume, breakpoints, there should be one in that I have set here in CryFont. Where are you? CryFont, here we go. Well, of course it breaks because there's some debug text. Let me just remove this and go back. No, display. Then remove the debug text. Debug options, memory info minimal. No, none. Oh yeah, it breaks here as well. So now you cannot see anything, any debug information in the top right part of the screen. So getting back to the breakpoint here, you'll see it doesn't break anymore. Well, it does break, damn it, doesn't matter. Anyway, what I'm going to do is just binary fill this with nops and resume the game. So now that we're back in game, okay, switch to game. Lots of my old breakpoints are being hit, no worry. So now there's no debug text in the top right part of the screen, and if I bring down the console, you can see what's going on. There's no rendering here. That was the actual culprit. It's in CryFont, some stuff related to rendering. I've explained this in the topic in Fearless Revolution forums. So what I'm going to do now is leave this on and just start Sniper Ghost Warrior 3. Since I'm already running a CryEngine game, I'll see a pop-up. Come on, show up, show up, show up. There we go. Too many apps, yes. because I want to run two CryEngine games at the same time. Singular, not plural. Autocorrection at the same time. It will take a bit to load. I'm just going to go in-game. Then I want to show you how to use the table, how to bring down the console, how to use some of the commands or the console variables, and then how to actually query them, query some of the CVARs. Note that the CVARs is short for console variables, and there's also console commands. The variables are, well, parameters with certain values which you can modify, and based on those, if the engine checks on them, it can either run a different scenario, a different flow of the executable code, thus resulting in like God mode or stuff like that, or you can set parameters for like, speed, jump, stuff like that. So while the game is loading, in this section here I've been meaning to say something that's totally irrelevant, but apparently I've managed to fill it up with something important because the loading takes a while. Let's see. Game loaded. This is my character. I'll tabbing out. So this is the table. When I'm going to run it, you'll see CryEngine open, and you'll also see the top bar, top left of the main window of CryEngine CryEngine 6.7. That information will change, so that is an cue for you to know that whenever that information in the top bar changes, the table is set and ready to go. So double clicking, there you go. Table for Sniper Ghost Warrior version 103. You can also see that the game process has already been selected and opened. Then you can see two scripts here. I'm going to speak about the first one. This one just does the following: enables the console. There's a console variable called sysDeactivateConsole that is set to 1, so I make it 0 so that the console can be open with the tilde key. And then there's some additional patches that are related to some of the CVARs being blacklisted. They're considered cheats, and therefore the engine will not run them. And then there's some whitelisting involved as well, whereas only a certain number of commands are allowed to be run. Notice commands, not CVARs. So the default CryEngine commands like pl_health, which is used to set your health value, would not have been executed because it's not recognized as a valid command. Even though it's implemented, it's restricted in such a way that you cannot make use of it. So I had to disable that as well. And yeah, there was some conflict between the input processing function the game uses for everything you type in, or for every key of the keyboard, and the console processing of the input, in such a way that, for example, if you copy a word from a document and then paste it in the console, the result of the pasting would take your word and duplicate it. So it takes that word and appends it at the end of the word. So instead of, like, for example, God, you will see God, God. And that is because both the game and the console, of course you wouldn't have access to it, but the console has an input processor as well. So it checks for control, shift, presses, stuff like that. So both the game and the console do those checks, and the result is, well, what I had to do was to disable the pasting for the console because it's already taken into account by the actual game's input processing functions. So now I'm just going to enable the console, and you'll see two items in the list. The first one is called SZ console typing command. This is where you'll see what you're typing in the console. Remember, you don't have any rendering. And the second one is a CVAR that I know the address of. It's called G_God mode. You know what this does: enables and disables God mode. So I put it here just to test out if it works when typing the actual CVAR in the console. So I'm just going to go back in game, press tilde key. Now, if you look at this and the same behavior that we have here, you can see no renderings in effect. So back here, what I'm going to do is G God mode 2. This is how to enable God mode. So once I press enter, the line here should change value to 2. Of course, you can change everything of these in CryEngine, but the purpose of this table is to enable console so you can type everything in there. So you can use this line here to monitor whatever you're typing in the console if you're playing in a windowed mode. And this one was just for testing to see if the value changes to 2. So now back in game, I'm just going to press enter, and you can see the value has changed to 2. Now, what else you should know about the console is that everything, even though you don't see text, everything works as normal. As in, if I press the up key, you'll see that it gets me back to the command to the CVAR that I just typed in earlier. So it does, the history mode works. If I press home, even though you don't see the blinker, it will move in front of the text. So if I press now I pressed home. Now if I press the delete key, you'll see the first G vanishing. Well, all of it vanishing actually. Let's see, G God mode 2. Okay, one more time. G God mode 2. What I'm doing now is just pressing home, and I want to press delete. Oh, it's automatically selecting the text. This behavior shouldn't happen anyway. I wonder if control copy works. G God mode 2, home, control C, just paste it here. It does work. So I'll have to fiddle a bit with this because apparently home shouldn't be selecting the whole text starting from here to here. This is what home does now. Shift home should do this. So this is pretty much like what you're seeing in this box here. So in the console you should see this, and when you press home it should go here, and when you press delete it should just delete the first G. But apparently now pressing home also selects the whole text, and as you can see, if you press shift home the whole text would be selected. So something's off. I think disabling that crap with control and shift that I did for the console automatically makes it think control or shift are being pressed. Therefore, when I press home, it automatically does shift home and selects the whole text. Anyway, not a big concern. I can fix it. But what you should know is this works. I have a text document here with some commands that are working. You'll have to look through them. I'll just post them in the topic and make use of them. Like for example, if you're using PL health, take a look at the health bar that I have here in yellow. I'm just going to delete the text. So I have PL health and I just set it to like 20. You can see now my health has dropped. If I do PL health 10,000, it will not set it to 10,000 but to the maximum value of my health. That is automatically being restricted by the engine to the max amount of your health. Then you have lock all skill, give skill points, replenish stamina, take damage. One interesting fact about take damage is it works with both positive and negative values. So I'm just going to use 50. You can see the damage is being, yeah. So now if I put minus 100, you'll see me heal. So I take positive damage, so to speak. Then you have V-kill. This unfortunately doesn't work when God mode is enabled. It does kill you or destroy the vehicle once you enter the vehicle. I tested it out. I'm not sure if there's any restrictions to it. unlock safe house and fast travel. You know what that does, and I think the one that you're hunting for is where is it? Items in weapon cache unlock. This unlocks everything in the bench or whatever it's called inside the game, like this here. Workbench or weapon cache. Yeah, weapon cache. Well, the command says weapon cache. I don't know why I think of something else. As you can see, I have everything enabled here, even though they're not bought. Yeah, there's a big list. I don't know, where the hell is the sniper weapon? Even these, you just have to purchase them afterwards. I haven't found for now some command that would give you credits or stuff like this, like money or whatever the collectibles are. I'll look into that. So for now, just stick to whatever I posted here. You have complete current mission, unlock all characters and factions, missions, collectibles. This upgrades the drone every time this removes the upgrade. You can reset the weapon cache this way. Let's see. Reset weapon cache. Notice here. Yep. Oh, so it removed everything from my hands as well, because I don't have everything. Yeah, let's see. Weapon cache. So I don't have everything. Okay, cool. Everything's locked. Interesting. And now when I do the next best thing, items in weapon cache unlock. Boom. Achievement unlocked. Okay. Awesome. So it thinks I got every weapon in the game actually. Drone warfare. Yeah. Now I have them. There you go. Heavy armor, of course. Okay. Cool. So it does work. And then there's the CVARs. The ones that are interesting are like these. You can test them out. See God mode here, infinite ammo, drone battery, threshold. I've never used it. Ignore player. This is like for invisibility. This is for drone invisibility, so the fuckers don't see your drone or yourself. And these control movement speed and acceleration, how fast you start off when you press W key. Then if you set this to 0, you don't need to worry about holding breath. This is for sway of the weapon. This is for like if you're playing the hard mode, you can enable aim assist. You know, it's disabled. It's the little red circle, reticle, whatever it's called, when you're using the scope. I don't know what the slow-mo is. I don't remember everything in here. And there's some stuff that I have to test out if these work or not. Note that the fly camera is not among the commands fly cam enable disable because the camera doesn't properly work in this game. At least maybe it was crippled by the developer or stuff like that. And I think that's about it. And if you want to query the default value of any of these CVARs, what you have to do is click on this one. You'll see some information here. You have to enable each of these three in the console. So copy the first, get back to console, paste it, enter. Copy the second, get back to console, paste it, enter, and do the same with this one. You can close it like this or just click again on the script. Whichever you choose, notice that the X in front of the script is disabled automatically. And now if you go to the game folder, you'll see a file called game 1 and 2, 3, whatever, .log. If you open it, scroll all the way to the bottom, you'll see information like this. Now, if I want to learn what's the default value for the speed scale, I'll just paste it in here, press enter. Nothing is being set because you just pressed enter to query the value. So if you don't give it any value, it will not set anything. Now, if I go back to Notepad++, it tells me that the log file has been modified. Pressing yes tells me which is the default value. So you can query it like so. Note that the log file will not get written to again if you close the game and restart it, or just reset those values to, I think, -1, all three of them. I think that's about it from this perspective. You'll have to test out everything or whatever I put in here. This information makes it in the post, in the thread or topic or whatever you want to call it on Fearless Revolution forums. Note that I started working on a mini SDK for the game. What this means is I'm trying to get the CryEngine SDK to work properly for Sniper Ghost Warrior 3. The idea came from this post that I found on Unknown Cheats. I studied a bit how this works. I note that the information listed here is mostly for aimbotters, for people who want to create aimbots. Sorry about that. And based on this information, well, it took me a bit, like 1 or 2 weeks to study what the hell is going on in here and how to map everything. And starting from this, I got to my own version, but for Sniper Ghost Warrior 3. There's a bunch of information. You do not need to pause the video now to just take a look at whatever I have in here. Analysis and structures and stuff like that you can easily use to create trainers or figure out some offsets for various modifiers or stuff like that. This file will also get posted publicly, so in case you're one of the people who worked on the game as well and aim to keep this information private, I'm sorry for you, but that's how it works. That's how I roll. Notice that Sniper Ghost Warrior 2, this mini SDK refers to, is built with CryEngine x86, and the version for it is 3.4.0, while Sniper Ghost Warrior 3 is running on x64, an x64 version of CryEngine, and the version of the engine is 4 instead of 3. I looked at the list of CryEngine games here and noticed that Sniper Ghost Warrior 3 is a CryEngine 4 game. Then we have Prey, which is a CryEngine 5 game. There's not so many differences between the two engines. And Sniper Ghost Warrior 2 is listed under CryEngine 3. But a close inspection showed this is 3.4.0. The reason I'm saying this is it took a bit to identify the structures, most likely because if you look at this guy's original post, the order of the classes in the namespace is different. Even here, if you look in class system system global environment, you'll see that the first member is iSystem, is psystem, while in my file, if you look at this one, it's iDialog system and stuff like that. So this information, while having the same name, is not ordered in the same way because the engines are different, 3 versus 4. This is a bit of a background information I'm just throwing at you. This is the post, Sniper Ghost Warrior 3 on Fearless Revolution forums. The post in which I'm going to put that table is going to be a different one, but the reason I'm showing you this is if you go to page 2 and you want to, fuck around with the other console variables or commands, there's a link here. If you click on it, it will take you to the CryEngine documentation, where if you scroll a bit, you'll see all this juicy information. If you click on them, you'll learn some stuff about them. And of course, you can take all this list and test it out in the console, of course, if you have any interest in trying this out. Note that these are the default console commands and variables, meaning they do not work for every game you're going to have access to the console to. But yeah, it's worth taking a look. And I think that's about it for this quick but long video. So now if you close the game, you'll see some interesting stuff happening in the log file. I took a quick look before starting this video, and there's some information there that might prove interesting. Okay. Yes. So starting from this, the game is doing some deactivations, and I also noticed some weapon processing or objects processing. You can see here some of the weapons. I'm not sure if this is the list with everything. It starts with weapons, 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 and stops here. I think these were the objects that were loaded at the time I hit quit. Maybe this is an offload. And yeah, that's about it for now. So, table, you know how it works, you know what to look for, how to test them. You'll have the list of these. And yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching.